All right, we are back here at the Expo Center, at the Twitch stage, at the back of the Expo Hall. And we're actually really excited to have the Robocar team here to give us a little recap about the Robocar challenge that happened here at reInvent. So yeah, can you tell us more about this project?
Yeah, thanks Mackenzie. So we actually wanted to do an autonomous car hackathon, first of its kind, at reInvent. And this all started about 6 months ago when Adrian and I talked about participating in DIY Robocars in Oakland, and since then we were able to build a car. We got Justin involved. He built a car based out of New York, and at that moment I was like, no, we need to do this. This is quite literally and figuratively a vehicle for deep learning, learning deep learning. Mm-hmm. So we got Justin involved, and we now successfully hosted a Robocar.
So, yesterday we had about 100 participants racing about 30 cars, many of whom had no experience with deep learning before or IoT, and we really think they left with a much better understanding of how this stuff works, and they had a great time in the process.
And there's people who were participating even before the event began, right? Like there was a whole Twitch series. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the online offerings you had?
Mm-hmm. Right, I mean, the process was like Road to Robocar Rally, right? Road to reInvent. So we really wanted people to not be afraid of getting into deep learning and something that sounds complex, right? So we wanted to give them all the material ahead of time so that they could prepare, get their car, get their hands dirty with coding.
Yeah.
So we had 4 blogs and 4 Twitch episodes.
I think it really paid off because one of the comments at the end, I heard from one of the participants. He said, hey, I got stuck with this, but then I watched your Twitch stream and I figured it out. It all became clear. So it really kind of paid off.
We had snapshots and like, hey, they'd taken screenshots of the video, which helped them give them some tips.
That is really cool. Can we actually, let's show some footage, if I can share my screen here. Because you can see people working on their programs or working on their cars here. Can you kind of talk through like how one of these days played out, showing up as an attendee?
Yeah, so we, on Sunday night, we actually gave a tutorial, we gave an overview, rules, and Monday, it was about 3 hours, and then they all came back, 7 a.m. on Monday, and we literally had breakfast, and we said go.
Go, yeah, at 7 a.m. we handed out the cars, and really pretty much just let the participants free to start building, right? They've got the set of race rules. We gave them some training data to work with so that they'd immediately have some success with deep learning, and this way they'd have a car that can run at the end of the night, and it was really up to them just to improve and build on that.
So for people who are unfamiliar with the car itself, can you kind of talk through the components that make this happen?
Sure, I mean, this is a magnet car chassis, and on top of that is a Raspberry Pi, and get the rest of the parts?
Yeah, so there's front-facing camera, Raspberry Pi, there's a servo driver, and the servo driver connects to the steering and the throttle control. So essentially you're using the Raspberry Pi to send the signals, the PWM signals, to the throttle and steering to control it.
And we also see here that people got very creative in how they decorate their cars.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Were there awards given for most creative designs?
Oh, we had some fun categories. One of that was, my favorite was the Hail Mary.
Okay, I'm kidding. What was it?
So the one that makes a miraculous comeback.
Right.
So, which was your favorite one?
The one I think that is most indicative of success was the Clean Line Award that Tom Soderstrom handed out. Was the one that had the cleanest lines, the most efficient, because that's what you need to be successful on Mars. So it was kind of like, you want to see something that works as accurately as possible. So I like the accuracy part.
And we also see here that people even program the capability for it to read signs or identify stop signs. And so here in this one example, it sees a stop sign, it does the appropriate thing, which is it drives right around it.
Drives right around it, right.
Which it totally mimics the way that I would have driven, so that's
maybe that was the model that you trained. It was like, this is what Mackenzie would do, is I'd go around it.
But if your goal is quickest time around the track,
that's right.
That is the quickest way to deal with a stop sign.
From a race perspective, it did the right thing.
Yeah.
What were some of the big surprises or interesting things that attendees were doing in the competition that you didn't foresee?
Collaboration, honestly, like it was. We actually encouraged collaboration, but I thought they would collaborate with the data we had given. But they collaborated among themselves, and they were teaching each other. And we had a Slack channel going on, and people, like, when they would learn something, they would actually share it with the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I think the Slack channel was the biggest thing, because in real time people were helping each other and getting help. And I think it will also serve as a good resource for people trying to do this. There's a lot of answers to some of the problems that they ran into.
Interesting. And are attendees now interested in competing in these leagues happening around the US? Can you talk a little bit about those leagues and the new hobbyists that you created here today?
Yeah, I mean, it started with DIY Robocars in Oakland, and then we have a parallel organization in San Diego. Then one of them started in DC. I think Chicago is popping up. We actually had one of our speakers who has his own lounge called Ducky Town in Zurich and around Europe. We're getting things started in China. We might have stuff in Singapore and India. So.
Yeah. A lot of global interest in this as well, and it seems like people have been trying since we did this Twitch series. I got a bunch of people saying, hey, I can't find this vehicle in my country, what else might work? Or I really want to do this, and I just ran into somebody on the show floor about an hour ago who said, I just mentioned this to two of my coworkers, and now they want to get started with it too. So it's kind of like a real viral, fun way to learn about a lot of cool technology.
Who wouldn't want to spend a day making an autonomous vehicle like this?
Yeah.
I mean, the fun part was everybody walked out a winner because we did give the cars that the teams built back to the team. So they get to keep the cars and hack on and build more integrations and fun things.
So how competitive in terms of time around the track did it get during this competition?
So the racetrack was 111 feet. And we were measuring the fastest lap. So the top two were apart by 0.07 seconds. So the fastest lap was 13.44 and 13.37. That was that close.
It was tight. Yeah, so, I mean, just in the spirit of racing, that's what you want to see is, head to head. And that's exactly how we determined the winner was we put them head to head for a final showdown race. So
does it become a little complicated in terms of having to avoid the other vehicle at that point? Is there added complexity involved?
There should be that complexity, right? I mean, you want to see that. You want to be able to adjust to the road around you, to the cars in front of you. And it's just fun to see how the cars interact, right?
Do we, I think we have one of the winning team members here with us.
Yes, we should.
Can we get her up here? And
get her.
Yeah, let's get her a mic. Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Here's your mic.
Thank you.
Yeah, can you let us know kind of who you are? And tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Devin Yarbrough, and I'm a web developer for Verizon, and I'm currently in the New York area, but I flew down here to say hi to you guys and participate in the hackathon, so thanks for having me.
How many autonomous vehicles have you worked on prior to joining here?
This is the first one.
Oh,
so.
come over this way a little more. So what was the experience like for you?
It was amazing. Just working with other developers, learning like how an AI car runs. It was an incredible experience. So I've done hackathons before, but I've never really been able to use a Raspberry Pi and connect it up to a cloud and produce the images back, and it was incredible.
That's really cool. And
Do you have any machine learning experience?
No, but I do now. So no machine learning. But yesterday I really got to be hands-on and really learn how to how to help utilize new technologies, and it was great.
Are you going to take the car back to New York and now compete in the local leagues?
Oh, absolutely.
Have you caught the racing bug?
Yeah, I have. I don't know how effective I'll be, but I'll give it a shot.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for participating and winning. Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great job.
And I also think that some of the members of the Donkey Car, the creators of
Yeah,
the whole league
we do that.
are here. I see you hiding out there, but we should get you up here because I mean, this all stemmed from this project that you guys created. Like
they
you've
love
inspired.
to be called and address the donkey fathers.
Yeah. So please, please introduce yourselves and come on over into the center stage here.
I'm Adam Conway, one of the donkey fathers, I suppose. By day, I work at a company called Data Coral.
Yeah, Will Roscoe. I do image analysis in Oakland, and I spend most of my free time working on this car. And really awesome event. Thanks for hosting, guys. Cool.
So where did this league start from? Like, what was the birth of the league?
The birth of the league was a hackathon that Chris Anderson held about a year ago, and he said, I just want people to come, and we're going to build cars, and we'll race them. No real rules, nothing set up, nothing official, and we all showed up. I brought a car that was in pieces, but by the end of the day, with Will's help, Will came and just sat down with me, and I've never met him before. We got it up and running, and it could go straight, and it could turn left.
So great for NASCAR.
Could not do anything else. Yes, or was it right? Actually, it might have been right. So even worse.
Australian NASCAR. Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the league, which became DIY Robocars, which Will and I are both involved in, kind of help organize. But Chris is the primary guy that ran that, and then also Donkey Car, which is an open source project, which has gone along with it and was the basis for this hackathon.
What was it like coming to reInvent and walking in this room and seeing massive amounts of teams all building their cars to race? Like seeing your project come to life like that. Can you talk about like what that felt like?
Well, if I'd had a moment to slow down and think about it when I wasn't A, collecting training data, B, helping people to do stuff, I probably would have been completely awed. But it was a busy day from 7 o'clock in the morning. I didn't get to bed till 1:30 at night, so it was a long day, but certainly proud.
Yeah, it was amazing. Some of the reactions from people were heartwarming. Just like you could see their minds blown when their car goes around the track. And as a software engineer, it's exactly what you want, where you get to see 100 people building your project, and you see the errors that everyone's making. And you're like, I should have an error message that tells you exactly what I'm having to tell you. So it was great as an engineer.
Where do you see, or has this had any impact to Donkey League or Donkey Racing League in general? Like, where do you see it going now in 2018?
Yeah, I think adding a bunch more parts to connect to services like AWS will enable the car to just have many more capabilities, and also just making the car more robust, so people, when they build the car, it can drive, and then they can plug in and out different capabilities that they want. So I'm super excited for next year.
The other thing that's really cool about this is we now have 30 people that know Amazon now know how Donkey works, which is, I think, is a pretty big game changer for for our Donkey, we hope. If you look at it, we've been training in Amazon since day one, but really we've not been using the Amazon services. We've been just literally launching an EC2 instance and then SCPing data to it. Whereas now there's people who live and breathe this on a daily basis, have cars at their house, wanting to get the leagues going, and we can actually get a real kind of machine learning pipeline.
And there's also the real-time data being pulled off of these cars and being processed within AWS.
The IoT dashboards. I mean, yesterday we saw people ingesting the data through the IoT service, Kinesis Firehose into DynamoDB, S3, putting the rules engine into DynamoDB, and we even had a quick site integration with one of the team showing a real-time dashboard, like live camera feed. It was amazing to see what people were be able to achieve in a single day.
What's some of the data they're pulling off of that car during the racing or training?
Right.
Yeah, so there was a bunch of telemetry they were able to collect, so the steering and throttle angle. We equipped each team with sensors, with gyroscopes, accelerometers, motion sensors. So we wanted to give them a whole bunch of different sensors to collect more data that would help literally drive better driving decisions.
Excellent. Now that land's been tackled, Are there plans to do a aerial or RC plane league? Is that next in the roadmap?
Actually, cars are the harder problem.
Obstacle, yeah.
If you look at the history, and actually Chris talked about this yesterday,
Right.
is drones can use GPS.
Yes.
Cars can't use GPS. They can use it for gross navigation, but they have to stay in a line or do that kind of stuff. It's a much harder problem. So we're excited. I mean, there's a long ways to go with this program, and we're hoping that this kind of fuels the growth of these racing leagues around cars.
Have you added any of this capability into your own personal vehicle yet?
Since yesterday, no. But inspired. But certainly we were inspired. I mean, it was great. People were doing things that we never do in the league. So everybody comes to the race league, and it's all business. They want to win the race. They bring the fastest car they can. They are ugly. They are, whatever. People yesterday were putting LEDs and speakers and turn their cars into the Red Bull car, and that never happens and hopefully we can kind of inject some of that into the DIY Robocars.
There was one car that actually had radio which would play a different music on each different turn. There was one that was integrated with Polly, which would talk.
What was the best car theme song that somebody had while it was racing?
Well, the one that's most memorable was Riding Dirty, but what
Riding
I really
Dirty,
did
of
like
course.
was the donkey noises. So we had one that sounded like a supercharged dragster that started up with a real engine noise. There was other ones that was making donkey squeals as it crashed, and they really got into the fun and creative side of it as well. So that was cool to see.
That's excellent. What's next for the Robocar project from here?
So we want to do more of this, hands down. So I think it was really humbling to see all the cooperation that people got. So we're trying to collect all the data from yesterday. Maybe we'll have a data set that is available for other people to hack on. So we'll have more integrations. So some of the learnings, there was one person already contributed to the project, a new integration. So I think we're going to expand, make it better and easier, and get the focus on driving. And that's how I see it as of now.
I think that pretty much covers what I'm thinking as well, is just getting this maybe to more people as well. There was so much interest in this, and just making it more available.
I mean, the fact that people without machine learning experience, came up and said we didn't know it, but we learned a lot. I think this is, as I said before, a good learning, vehicle, figuratively and literally.
And if somebody is now at home, they want to start doing this tomorrow, or even now, why wait? And they run into any kind of issues or questions, what's the best place to get support from the hobbyists?
I would probably say the Slack channel, right? That seems to have the most active engagement, near real time, and there's a whole bunch of message history in there to really help them through it. We also have our blog posts and Twitch streams,
videos,
which will kind of help guide you on rails of how our participants built their cars yesterday.
And there's some tidbits because we were actually building it on Twitch, so people kind of get those tidbits on what worked, what didn't work, what are little tweaks, those learnings.
Excellent. Well, all of you, thank you. It looked like an incredible event. And thank you very much for starting this league and really being the start of this being possible.
Yeah, just so you know how to get on the Slack channel and the instructions for the car that was used in the event, it's donkeycar.com has the links, and we'll link to the blog post too.
Cool. Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And stay tuned. We do have more content coming up. We will be back momentarily.